In 2007, Led Zeppelin reunited for one historic night at London's O2 Arena. It was their first full concert in almost 30 years, and it quickly became one of the most talked about shows in rock history. Over 20 million people tried to get tickets. Only 20,000 were lucky enough to attend. But in the years that followed, a strange rumor began to spread. Could The Who's Roger Daltrey really replace Robert Plant? In 2012, Jimmy Page sat down to rewatch that unforgettable night. While reflecting on the show, he was asked about the idea of continuing Led Zeppelin without Plant. Page said that if they had chosen another singer, they would have played Led Zeppelin songs. But only if they had strong new material too. He made it clear, you want to be playing some really good new material to knock people's socks off. Then came the twist. Page was told about a rumor that Roger Daltrey had offered to replace Plant. His reaction? Confusion. Jimmy Page didn't even know about that version of the story, but he did confirm that he and Daltrey had talked, just not about Led Zeppelin. Page explained that the conversation was actually about doing something together for the Teenage Cancer Trust, not about forming a new version of Zeppelin. In his words, I said, I'd love to do that with you, Roger, but I thought I was already going to be out there playing. Doesn't necessarily mean playing guitar, but doing something musical. It turns out the whole Daltrey replacing Plant story may have been a big misunderstanding, or at least a heavily exaggerated rumor. But it's not the first time Daltrey and Plant's names have been linked. Back in the mid-1960s, when The Who were struggling with internal tensions, Robert Plant, then just 17 years old, actually wanted to join them. At that time, Roger Daltrey had briefly left the band after a serious fight with drummer Keith Moon over his drug use. The band even canceled shows in Worcester and Kidderminster. Seeing an opportunity, Plant attended 3 Who concerts in a row and eventually approached Pete Townshend. He told Townshend that he wanted to be the new lead singer, but Townshend later said in an interview that while Plant offered himself for the role, they ultimately brought Daltrey back. He joked, "Obviously, none of them thought I was any good at singing." Years later, Pete Townshend shared his thoughts on Plant again. In 2023, he said that Robert Plant copied Roger Daltrey's stage presence. According to Townshend, Plant was a shrieker and took inspiration from both Daltrey and Steve Marriott. He admitted that Daltrey had to sharpen up his act to keep up. Townshend said, Roger started to really treat his voice like an instrument. He looked after himself. Despite the rivalry and comparisons, both singers went on to define a generation. The Who and Led Zeppelin may have taken different paths, but their legacies are forever connected. So did Roger Daltrey ever truly offer to replace Robert Plant? Probably not in the way fans imagine. But the idea of it, 2 iconic voices switching places, shows just how closely their histories have been intertwined over the decades. And as Jimmy Page made clear, Led Zeppelin without Robert Plant was never really the plan.